Alrighty guys, we're tying a little, calling this the NW Shrimp tonight. NW stands for no waste, because there's very, very little waste in this fly. This is going to be a little tarpon shrimp, and I just have some orange marabou. And the trick with marabou, tie it on as long as you want. Instead of cutting it, take your fingernail. I'm going to press my fingernail against it there, and I'm just going to tear it. And now it doesn't appear to be like it's cut. So the ends don't, they still stay a little flare. They don't just flatten right out like they do if you're going to cut it actually with scissors and stuff. Okay, so we have the orange marabou there. Now I'm going to add in either badger, or this is actually some coyote fur. And what I'm doing is I already cut my little piece. I'm going to grab the tips here and just pull the tips out, saving the underfur. Okay, very important step. Save the underfur. That's our no waste part of the fly. And now I'm just going to pull these little tips out and tie them on. Length of this is kind of up to you. I don't like it to be too terribly long. These are hanging about 2 inches beyond, well, probably closer to 3 inches beyond the bend of the hook. I'm just going to pretty that up a little bit. Doesn't really matter because that's going to, the whole thread shank does get covered here. Okay, now we're going to add in some eyeballs, and these are some little glass bead eyes that I make. I get some glass beads at Michael's or in your craft store, either the 9/0, 10/0, or 11/0. And this is actually 40-pound fluorocarbon that I have them attached to, and I burn the end of the fluorocarbon. I used to use hard mono, but I found the fluorocarbon actually mushrooms real nice. So the mono had a tendency to droop, as to where this has a tendency to mushroom and flare up nice. So it ended up being real pretty. Okay, so I have my eyeballs attached there. Trim off the excess. I'm going to cut a single strand of crystal flash and bend it in half. Give that a little snip. Tie that in right in the top. And I'm going to just have those go just to the end of the pieces I pulled out there, the actual tips. I don't know if it really matters or not, but that's just the way I've always done it. Okay, now we're going to get a dubbing loop tool and make a dubbing loop with that underfur. And if you wrap back on itself on the dubbing loop there, you get a nice tight little loop. So you don't have to worry about all your material falling out. I'm also going to show another little trick here that I like to do. And this is wax thread, but I always wax it and re-wax it anyway. Just once down and once forward, and then run my finger over it a couple of times there. That's just really getting that wax in there, and there's no clumps of wax sticking up. Okay, now what I like to do is stick my finger in here in the dubbing loop itself. So I got a nice big pocket there. Oops, for this fur. We're going to put this fur in here and then hold it tight with my finger on the end of this dubbing tool. I'm just kind of spreading it out here as we go along. Okay, now when you first start to spin this, if you'll really put pressure on it with your finger, your index finger, in front of the dubbing tool, you'll notice it doesn't really spin too much. I go and get 30 or 40 twists in there, and then I just let go, and it all pops out nice and good. That way you don't lose much material when you actually tie this. Then I take my lip finishing tool, the pointy end, and just kind of pluck this out. as such. Could also do this with some Velcro. They make tools to do this also. I like to keep it simple, not have a bunch of different tools laying around on my desk. I already got enough junk out here as it is, so I don't need any help creating more of a busy space. I'm just kind of pulling out anything that looks kind of clumpy. Anywhere it looks clumpy, I'm going to pull it out. I always like to rub it over a couple times. Could also do this with a dubbing brush. I'm not a big fan of the brushes myself. I don't like having that extra metal on the hook. I just soon do it with thread. It doesn't take that long, and it's free. Well, relatively speaking. Don't have to pay for the actual little dubbing brush itself, so I'm just pulling that out. Now we're going to wind this up. And I'm going to pull it back as I wrap this. So I'm pulling it back towards the tail as I wrap. Just like so. Try to make sure any long pieces are pointing back, just because that's less cleanup that you have to do to once you finish this off. Okay. Now I like to go at least 4 times over it before I cut it. This thread right here is really wound tight, and I found if I do less than 4, it has a tendency to kind of come back on itself. So don't like that. And now we just clean up the head a little bit. We're not looking for any kind of large head or anything. You don't want a big head on this. You want nice and streamlined. Tarpon flies, it's key, absolutely key, to have that fly going as straight as you can possibly get it. Okay, that's it. And I only did 2 little whip finishes on there because it's going to get a good little bit of this UV clear hardener, and I'm using the thick. Just it makes a nice head, so I like the thick. Doesn't penetrate real well, I've been told, but I don't know. I've never had an issue with it yet. This is the same stuff I use to make the eyeballs with, so just kind of works out nice. Then I rotate that around a couple of times just to kind of even it out. Then we'll hit it with the UV light. Nice and easy. I'll give it 4 or 5 spins. The only thing you got to be careful of when you use this UV resin is not to get it in direct sunlight, because that will harden it. So if you're tying in a room that has open blinds and such, be prepared, because it could harden on you prematurely just from the sun. So there we go. That does it. And now I'm going to come back in and pick this out just to make it nice and, kind of round. It'll all be sticking out initially, but once it gets wet and folds back on itself there, now I'll take my scissors and kind of clean up any bristles. I normally use badger hair for this fly, but badger hair is kind of scarce in our town at the moment, so I'm not doing it. I'm using this is coyote fur, like I said originally. And there you go. That is it. Good luck and hope y'all enjoy.